In the context of experiments, particularly in psychology, variables are elements or factors that can be measured or manipulated to observe their effects on other variables. They are crucial for understanding relationships and causality in research. The independent variable is the variable that researchers manipulate to observe its effect on another variable. It is considered the cause in a cause and effect relationship. In a study examining the effect of sleep on cognitive performance, the amount of sleep participants get, for example, 4 hours versus 8 hours, would be the independent variable. The dependent variable is the variable that is measured to see how it is affected by changes in the independent variable. It is considered the effect. Continuing with the sleep study, the cognitive performance scores of participants would be the dependent variable, as it is expected to change based on the amount of sleep. Extraneous variables are variables other than the independent variable that might affect the dependent variable. Researchers try to control these to ensure that any observed effects are due to the manipulation of the independent variable. In the sleep study, factors like caffeine intake or stress levels could be extraneous variables that might influence cognitive performance. In experiments, a control variable is an element that is kept constant throughout the study to ensure that any observed effects are due to the manipulation of the independent variable, rather than other factors. This helps establish the true effects of the independent variable on the dependent variable. In this study, a control variable could be the room temperature where the cognitive tests are conducted. By keeping the room temperature constant for all participants, researchers can ensure that variations in cognitive performance are not influenced by environmental comfort or discomfort, which could otherwise affect the results. A classic example from psychology is the Darley and Latané experiment on bystander intervention. In their study, Darley and Latané created a simulated emergency situation in a laboratory setting with college students as participants. The participants believed they were part of a discussion group, but in reality they were alone in a room and communicated with others via intercom. During the experiment, one of the participants, actually a pre-recorded voice, pretended to have a seizure. The researchers observed how quickly and how many participants would attempt to help, depending on the number of other perceived bystanders. The findings revealed the bystander effect, where individuals are less likely to offer help when other people are present. This effect was attributed to two main factors: diffusion of responsibility, where each bystander assumes someone else will intervene, and social influence, where individuals monitor the behavior of those around them to determine how to act. In this study, the independent variable is the number of witnesses that participants believe to be present during an emergency situation. The dependent variable is the time it took for participants to respond to the emergency. The extraneous variables were factors such as the participants' prior experiences with emergencies or their general disposition towards helping others. A control variable in this study could be the type of emergency scenario presented to participants. By using the same scenario for all participants, researchers can ensure that differences in response times are due to the number of perceived witnesses rather than the nature of the emergency itself. By carefully manipulating and measuring these variables, researchers can draw conclusions about causal relationships and better understand psychological phenomena. Remember, you will never receive an answer if you don't ask the question.